Alright, as stated in my review video, I do the preview video on Monday nights for the Tuesday games because Tuesday morning is a busy time, and the idea of getting the preview done when there's always so many games on a Tuesday, it doesn't work. So I do it tonight. And we've got a lot of games. Well, you know what? No. We've had Tuesdays with 12 or 13 games. Tomorrow with 10. It's pretty reasonable. So let's start things off with Tampa and Dallas. Doesn't feel reasonable. Now, Dallas is in a lot of turmoil for a team that's currently in a playoff position. That being said, with the result of the Colorado game against Toronto, this is kind of a must-win for a Dallas team going into a game against a Tampa team that's lost their last game, and they don't usually lose two in a row. Tampa's 35-9-2. Dallas is 23-19-4 in their last 10. Tampa 8-2. They lost their last game, as I said. Dallas 5-4-1. They've lost two in a row to Philadelphia and St. Louis. On the road, Tampa's 16-5-2 at home. Dallas is 14-6-2 versus the West. Tampa's 11-6-2, so the record against the West is nowhere near as good as the record against the East. However, it's still pretty solid. Versus the East, Dallas is a less impressive 9-10-2. But it's weird because there seems to be all this upheaval with Dallas, and yet they're in a playoff spot, but management clearly isn't happy. Now the coach isn't very happy either. I was going to do a video on Dallas today, but I was trying to figure out a way to do it in a different manner than I did with the Seg and Ben video, where I talked about their lack of depth. But I couldn't figure out a way to make it different enough that it was warranted a whole new video, so I was going to do something completely different. But I talked it over with my wife, and she said that would be a good idea for the All-Star break. So I'll do it then. So leading scorers for Tampa: Kucherov, 22 goals, 53 assists. Point, 29 goals, 32 assists. Stamkos, 24 goals, 28 assists. Johnson, 18 goals, 16 assists. Hedman, 5 goals, 24 assists. Gourde, 11 goals, 17 assists. Miller, 7 goals, 19 assists. McDonough, 5 goals, 20 assists. Killorn, 10 goals, 14 assists. And Palat rounds out the top 10 with 6 goals and 12 assists. On the Tampa side of things, Sagan, 17 goals, 26 assists. Radulov, 14 goals, 25 assists. Jamie Benn, 18 goals, 15 assists. Klingberg, 6 goals, 16 assists. Heiskanen, 9 goals, 11 assists. Lindell, 6 goals, 11 assists. Foxa, 7 goals, 9 assists. Janmark, 3 goals, 12 assists. And Dickinson with 5 goals and 6 assists rounds out your top 10. Goaltending side of things, nobody's confirmed for tomorrow. The only one that looked like they were maybe is Holtby, which clearly Holtby would be the starter. So I'll just go ahead and guess. For Tampa, I'm going to wager that it's Vasilevsky because he's 18-5-2. By wager, I mean I'm wagering nothing. 2.55 goals against, 922 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Domingue, 16-4, 2.99 goals against, 905 save percentage. Doesn't really matter who they go with. They got a great winning percentage, right? On the Dallas side, it has to be Bishop here. Hudobin's 8-8-2, 2.49 goals against, 923 save percentage, and a single shutout. Bishop's 15-11-2, 2.39 goals against, 921 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. So I'm willing to say that yes, it should definitely be Bishop in this one. But I don't know how much it matters. I don't. I have this feeling of doom and gloom because, as the coach said, and I'm not going to disagree with him, the effort in the last couple of games wasn't good enough, and now you got Tampa coming to town. And Tampa's been pretty relentless and pretty merciless with teams beneath them, so we'll see how things turn out tomorrow night. Everybody's beneath Tampa, in case you're just joining things. This is your first day of the season. Yeah, Tampa's doing pretty well. Next up, Vegas. Yes, the Golden Knights. This is the first time I've used that magnet. I made that magnet a while ago. Vegas Golden Knights are in against the Winnipeg Jets. This is a matchup between two teams that have very similar records. And for win-loss records, Vegas has looked better lately. This is a great test for Vegas to see how well they're actually playing. Is a game against a Winnipeg Jets team that honestly, their last couple of weeks, they've shown some cracks. The wins are still there. But you wonder, are they going to really tamp things down? And is Paul Maurice concerned? He should be. Vegas is 28-16-4, whereas Winnipeg is 29-14-2. In their last 10, Vegas is 8-1-1. They won their last game, whereas Winnipeg's 6-4, and they've won 2 in a row. On the road, Vegas is now 13-12-1. That's the first time they've been above 500 all season. At home, Winnipeg is 17-6-2. So again, this is a really good test for Vegas in this hot streak. Versus the West, Vegas is 17-7-2 versus the West. Winnipeg is 18-9-1. So both of them very solid against their own conference. Scoring leaders. For Vegas, Tuck, 15 goals, 22 assists. Marchessault, 14 goals, 17 assists. Carlson, 15 goals, 15 assists. Smith, 9 goals, 18 assists. Eakin, 13 goals, 12 assists. Pacioretty, 12 goals, 12 assists. Theodore, 5 goals, 16 assists. Miller, 2 goals, 15 assists. Schmidt, 4 goals, 12 assists. And Ryan Reeves, 8 goals, 7 assists to round out the top 10 with 15 points for the Vegas Golden Knights. On the Winnipeg side, Wheeler, 9 goals, 49 assists. Scheifele, 24 goals, 32 assists. Connor, 16 goals, 18 assists. Laine, 25 goals, 8 assists. Bufflin, 4 goals, 25 assists. Ehlers, 15 goals, 12 assists for him. Little, 10 goals, 17 assists. Morrissey, 5 goals, 21 assists. Trouba, 4 goals, 19 assists. And Brandon Tanev, who's been pretty hot lately, 10 goals, 9 assists to round out the top 10. Goaltenders, I expect Fleury because Subban's 2-5 with a 2.95 goals against, 903 save percentage. Fleury's now 26-11-4, 2.49 goals against, 911 save percentage, and 6 shutouts. There were a lot of people giving Fleury credit for where Vegas is. By a lot of people, I mean the announcers on some of these games that aren't being covered necessarily by Vegas. The reasons that Vegas is in this position, I would say number one is the play of Alex Tuch since he came back from injury. And number two, I would put Nate Schmidt and him stabilizing their top 4 defensemen. Number three, I would have Marc-Andre Fleury in his play-in net. That's where I would put them anyways. On the Winnipeg side, I expect Hellebuck. He's 20, 13-1, 2.87 goals against, 908 save percentage. Brossoit would be the backup at 9-1-1, 2.1 goals against, 939 save percentage, a shutout, and likely deserving more games than he's been getting. This should be quite the game, though. Again, as I said, great test for Vegas and a pretty solid test for Winnipeg. As I stated, they've won their last 2 games. Winnipeg, if they can get a bit of a run going, and if Nashville stays quiet and cold, let's see, Nashville's lost 2 in a row, right? Yeah. Winnipeg might be able to get a nice, comfortable lead in first place in their division, which would be the first time that's happened in a while. Anyways, next up, Florida. The Florida Panthers, a team that finds their way to losses no matter what. Whether they're against a good team, a bad team, whatever it is. They may go out, they may outplay that team at certain points of the game, but you know that at the end of the night, when you look at the scores, they're going to be on the wrong side of the score sheet. And tomorrow they're going in against a Montreal team that needs this win. They got a big win tonight in Boston and should feel kind of confident tomorrow night. Florida's 17-19-8, whereas Montreal is 25-17-5. Florida's 3-5-2. They've lost 6 in a row. They're quickly going the wrong direction. Montreal 6-4. They won their last game, of course, which was tonight. On the road, Florida's 9-13-3 at home. Montreal's 12-9-2 versus the East. Florida's 14-11-6 versus the East. Montreal's now 14-8-5. So all the numbers would point to Montreal in this one. That being said, it's a back-to-back, right? So you never know. I've seen a lot of cases lately where a team will win a really big game, and then the next game it's like they have that emotional letdown, or maybe they're tired the next night, and they lose to a much inferior opponent to the one they beat the night before. It's kind of that whole parity thing that I talk about. Scoring leaders for Florida. Huberdeau, 12 goals, 35 assists. Barkov, 17 goals, 27 assists. Hoffman, 21 goals, 19 assists. Dadonov, 18 goals, 19 assists. Yandel, 6 goals, 30 assists. Vetrano, 13 goals, 7 assists. Nice to see Frankie at 20 points. I miss him in Boston dearly. But he moved on and he's doing well for Florida. It is a shame that Florida doesn't look like they're going to go anywhere near the playoffs, however. Ekblad, 8 goals, 10 assists. McCann, 7 goals, 10 assists. Matheson, 2 goals, 13 assists. And Trocheck, 3 goals, 11 assists. And it was mentioned, talking about the Florida-Vancouver game, that it looked like McCann was being targeted by Canuck players. He was very unpopular in the Canucks locker room, was the rumor, and it doesn't surprise me necessarily that he would be chirped at by Canuck players whenever he returns to Vancouver. On the Montreal side, Domi, 14 goals, 26 assists for him. Drouin, 13 goals, 21 assists. Tatar, 14 goals, 19 assists. Petrie, now at 10 goals and 23 assists. Danault, 7 goals, 24 assists. Gallagher, 18 goals, 9 assists. Shaw with 11 goals, 13 assists. Kotkaniemi, 5 goals, 17 assists. Lehkonen, 7 goals, 14 assists. And Byron now sits with 10 goals and 7 assists for 17 points, rounding out the top 10 for Montreal. On the goaltending side, I kind of expect Luongo. They've had him play back-to-back games. Reimer's 8-7-5, 3.16 goals against, 895 save percentage. Luongo, 8-11-1, 3.35 goals against, 892 save percentage with a shutout. On the Montreal side, I expect Niemi because Price played tonight. Price is 18-13-4, 2.65 goals against, 912 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. Niemi's 7-4-1, 3.85 goals against, 886 save percentage. And again, as I've said, this all looks like it favors Montreal. Unless Niemi goes out tomorrow night and has a really, really poor game, I don't see a victory coming for Florida. But again, we've seen some surprise results lately when it comes to those back-to-back games. Next up, Pittsburgh. This might be game of the night material for tomorrow. This could absolutely be the best game of the night. This could be fantastic because it's Pittsburgh and it's San Jose. And both teams look pretty strong. Now, I know for Pittsburgh, they're coming off of that loss against LA. I think that should make them play better tomorrow night in San Jose against a Sharks team that's won a lot lately. The Sharks really needed that beating from Calgary, apparently, to get them smartened up. The Penguins 25-14-6, San Jose 27-13-7 in their last 10. Pittsburgh's 8-2 with a loss in their last game. Whereas San Jose's 8-1-1 and they've won 6 in a row. San Jose's playing fantastic. On the road, Pittsburgh's 12-6-4 at home. San Jose's 16-4-4 versus the West. Pittsburgh's 14-5-1 versus the East. San Jose's a surprisingly less respectful 9-6-4. So they're much better against the West than they are against the East, but that's okay because they're pretty darn solid against the West. Scoring leaders for Pittsburgh, Crosby, 20 goals, 35 assists. Kessel, 18 goals, 33 assists for him. Malkin, 14 goals, 36 assists. Gensel, 23 goals, 21 assists. And really, Jake Gensel's been fantastic for the last couple of weeks. Letang, 10 goals, 28 assists. Hornquist, 15 goals, 11 assists. Rust, 11 goals, 10 assists. Simone, 6 goals, 12 assists. Pearson's on the board at 8 goals, 5 assists. Broussard's still there at 7 goals and 6 assists to round out your top 10. Don't estimate them, San Jose, or they'll run you over. San Jose's leading scorers, Burns, 9 goals, 43 assists. Couture, 16 goals, 26 assists. Meyer, 18 goals, 23 assists. Carlson, 3 goals, 38 assists for him. So he's still at 41 points for San Jose. Pavelski, 26 goals, 13 assists. Hurdle, 16 goals, 22 assists. Kane, 16 goals, 18 assists. LeBanc, 4 goals, 22 assists. Donskoy, 14 goals, 11 assists. Joe Thornton, 9 goals, 12 assists. Rounds up the top 10 for San Jose. On the Pittsburgh side of things, to Smith, Murray, they'll probably go with Murray. To Smith's 12-8-4, 2.53 goals against, 921 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Murray's 13-5-1, 2.85 goals against, 914 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. It'll be Jones for San Jose. Can he continue to improve that save percentage? 21-8-4 is his record, 2.74 goals against, 903 save percentage, and a shutout. It scares me to death that he has a 903 save percentage and Pittsburgh's coming in. Dell's at 6-5-3, 3.02 goals against, 891 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. He's likely the backup. This should be a great game between two teams that both look like contenders right now. And for Pittsburgh, they're trying to avoid back-to-back losses in California, which wouldn't normally be news because losing back-to-back in California were normally at least 2, usually all 3 are pretty good teams. But this year with the way Anaheim and LA are playing, it would kind of be a surprise to see Pittsburgh drop 2 in a row in California. But San Jose, it's going to be a great game. There could be a ton of goals in this one too. Got to be completely honest in that one. Next up, St. Louis, the Blues, who all of a sudden are hot. And who would have thought that was coming? I didn't. I really honestly I didn't. I didn't see this one coming at all. They're 20-20-4, and we've said from the start of the season till now, well, if they had better goaltending, maybe they'd have a better record. Apparently so. 20-20-4, they're in against the 25-15-4 New York Islanders, who've been kind of awesome for about a month now. And St. Louis 6-4 in their last 10. They won 3 in a row, including the game tonight in Washington. Now they get New York Islanders. And it doesn't matter whether the Islanders are playing at Barclays or if they're playing in a hockey arena. They seem to play relatively well. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They won their last game. So whether they're playing in a basketball or hockey arena tomorrow, I like their chances, especially since St. Louis is on a back-to-back. On the road, St. Louis is now 9-7-2. That's right, they're better on the road than they are at home. Whereas the Islanders are 11-7-3, which means they're better on the road than they are at home. Versus the East, St. Louis is 8-6. Versus the West, the Islanders are 8-8. So the numbers kind of support St. Louis winning. I'll believe it when I see it. Scoring leaders, O'Reilly leads St. Louis, of course. 16 goals, 28 assists. Perron, 16 goals, 17 assists. Tarasenko's coming on. 15 goals, 14 assists. He's up to 29 points now. Shen, 9 goals, 15 assists. Dunn, 4 goals, 15 assists. Schwartz, 3 goals, 16 assists. Bozak, 6 goals, 12 assists. Pietrangelo, 5 goals, 12 assists. Steen, 6 goals, 9 assists. And Sundqvist has 8 goals and 6 assists. And for those who might say, well, St. Louis is going to sell, they're currently 3 points out of the playoffs. 3. That's insane, but that's where we're at. They're 3 points out of the playoffs. Leading scorers for the Islanders, Barzal, 13 goals, 29 assists. Lee, 16 goals, 18 assists. Bailey, 10 goals, 24 assists. Nelson, 16 goals, 14 assists. Eberle, 9 goals, 11 assists for him. Cizikas, 11 goals, 8 assists. Filppula, 9 goals, 10 assists. Pulak, 3 goals, 16 assists. Beauvillier has 12 goals and 5 assists. And Nick Leddy rounds out the top 10 with a goal and 15 assists. Goaltending-wise, Allen started tonight. I think Bennington goes in tomorrow. He's 3-0-0 with a 1.45 goals against, 941 save percentage, and a shutout. Not too shabby. Allen's now 15-14-4 with a 3.01 goals against, 899 save percentage, and a shutout. On the Islanders side, pick them. They're both pretty darn good. Greiss, 13-8-1, 2.62 goals against, 918 save percentage with a shutout. Leonard, I like Leonard a lot, 12-7-3, 2.21 goals against, 926 save percentage, and 2 shutouts for Robin Leonard. So this could be a dark horse for one of those best games of the night, one of those ones that people come out talking about and saying, hey, I know you probably didn't watch that Islanders game against St. Louis, but wow, what a game. At any rate, that ends off the first board. I now have to change boards. Now, matchup between two teams that aren't in the playoffs, but one of them wants to get there, and the good news for them is tonight Buffalo showed no interest in getting there. Or, if you want to say, well, it was the goaltending, then Buffalo's goaltending didn't show any desire to get there. Carolina, 22-18-5 in against the hapless New York Rangers, who are 18-20-7 and doing some soul searching right now. The good news is, if you're a fan of Zuccarello, he is increasing his trade value with his play lately, and he's probably not long for the New York Rangers. Over their last 10, Carolina's 7-3. They've won 2 in a row. The Rangers are 3-6-1. They lost their last game on the road. Carolina's 9-11-1, whereas at home the Rangers are 11-6-5. Now that would be absolutely to the advantage of the Rangers if the Rangers' home ice advantage had been to their advantage over the last few games. Versus the East, Carolina's 14-12-3 versus the East. The Rangers a less happy 9-12-4. So, in this one, the Hurricanes seem to be playing like they have something to play for. They've been doing that for the last couple of weeks, and now they do. Now they're within striking distance of a playoff spot. Are the odds against them? Absolutely. But could they pass Buffalo in the next week and a half? Yeah. And then we could start talking about how they are the closest team that's not in the playoffs, and we can start talking about the point difference between them and the teams ahead of them. And just psychologically, it has to be great for the guys in the room to finally be playing games that feel like they're worth something. Leading scorers for Carolina. Aho leads the way, of course. 21 goals and 30 assists for him. Teravainen, 10 goals, 28 assists. Williams, 13 goals, 14 assists. Ferland, 13 goals, 12 assists. I really don't think they're trading him. Svechnikov, 11 goals, 8 assists. Slavin, 5 goals, 13 assists. Hamilton, 6 goals, 10 assists, and an eye-opening -13 on the plus-minus chart. I think he's going. Falk, 3 goals, 13 assists. Wallmark, 4 goals, 10 assists. And Martinuk with 9 goals, 3 assists rounds out your top 10 for Carolina. On the Rangers side of things, Zibanejad, 12 goals, 25 assists. Kreider, 21 goals, 12 assists. Hayes, 10 goals, 23 assists. VC, 11 goals, 12 assists. Pionk, 5 goals, 15 assists. Zuccarello, as I said, he's been playing better lately. 7 goals, 11 assists for him. Fast, 7 goals, 10 assists. Hedel, 7 goals, 9 assists. Howden, 4 goals, 11 assists. And Nemesnikov with 4 goals, 11 assists. Rounds out your top 10 for the New York Rangers. On the goaltending side, I kind of expect McElhinney here, even though Mrazek's played very well. He's 9-9-2, 2.67 goals against, 900 save percentage with a shutout. McElhinney, 11-5-1, 2.3 goals against, 921 save percentage. On the Rangers side, I expect Lundqvist. He's 12-12-7, 3.08 goals against, 907 save percentage. Georgiev's now 6-8 with a 3.43 goals against, 894 save percentage, and a shutout. It is hard to map out how this is going to work because of the fact that Carolina's record on the road isn't great. That being said, I do like their odds against the New York Rangers. Absolutely. Moving along. New Jersey. Devils, 18-20-7. They want back into this thing too. There are teams in the East that we wrote off that maybe it was early, and in the case of New Jersey, maybe there's too much ground for them to make up. They're sitting with 43 points, which is not advantageous to making the playoffs. And tomorrow night, they're in against division rival Columbus, who are 27-15-3. Columbus, it feels like something's going on with Columbus right now that's a little different. I've said it before. We'll see who's in net tomorrow night. That could really fuel things. Now, if it turns out to be Bobrovsky, there may be nothing to see here. If it's Korpisalo, maybe. Just maybe, because that'll be 3 starts out of 4, if that happens. On the New Jersey side, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. Columbus is 7-3. They've won 3 in a row out of their last 10. Of course, that's 7-3. On the road, this is where New Jersey sucks. They're 5-15-3. I don't know another way to put it. I just don't. At home, Columbus is 13-8-2 versus the East. New Jersey's not much better there. They're 10-15-3 versus the East. Columbus is an impressive 18-10-1. So New Jersey, they're going to need some good luck, some good mojo going for them, and I don't know that they have that on the road. I just don't. Remember one of those 5 wins, the most recent one I believe was over Arizona in a shootout. Yeah, and Arizona's no good at home. So anyways, we'll see what happens in that one. Scoring leaders for New Jersey. We have a new scoring leader. It's Palmieri with 22 goals and 16 assists. All he needed was Taylor Hall to miss about 30 games. It feels that way. Hall's got 11 goals, 26 assists in limited action. Heishier, 13 goals, 19 assists. Zajac, 11 goals, 16 assists. Coleman, 16 goals and 10 assists now for Coleman. He's having an amazing season. Severson, 6 goals, 16 assists. Bratt, 3 goals, 15 assists. Boyle, 12 goals, 5 assists. Vatanen, 4 goals, 13 assists. And there's Wood with 5 goals and 11 assists to round out your top 10 for the Devils. On the Columbus side of things, Panarin, 17 goals, 33 assists, 50 points for him. Atkinson, 26 goals, 20 assists. Dubois, 16 goals, 24 assists. Jones, 7 goals, 20 assists for Columbus. Werenski, 9 goals, 17 assists. Foligno, 12 goals, 11 assists. Murray, 1 goal, 21 assists. Anderson, 15 goals, 6 assists. Jenner, 8 goals, 12 assists. And Wenberg, 1 goal, 18 assists to round out the top 10 for Columbus. Now, on the goaltending side of things, Blackwood started tonight, so I guess it's Kincaid tomorrow. I'd be tempted to go back with Blackwood personally. 5-2 is Blackwood's record, 2.25 goals against, 934 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Kincaid's 13-6, 3.07 goals against, 899 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. It'll be Kincaid, but if I was coaching, I'd be like, I'm going to go with the kid. I don't know who's going to be in net for Columbus. That's where it gets interesting. Bobrovsky's 19-13-1, 2.93 goals against, 903 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. And I know there's people who don't like the whole save percentage number and think it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. General managers, when they're trying to sign contracts, do. They look at these leadership charts and they say, you know what? You didn't have a great season. I'm not paying you what you want. And it's not just Columbus's general manager that would have that attitude. It's all of them. So every time Bobrovsky's numbers fall, so does his asking price during the summer. And I think that's really what's driving his frustration. So if Korpisalo goes in net, Bobrovsky's going to leave. 8-2-2 is Korpisalo's record, 3.08 goals against, 898 save percentage. Even though Korpisalo's numbers aren't as good, the record when he plays is excellent. So Read into that what you will. He plays weaker opponents, I guess. Next up, Anaheim. The Ducks, 19-8-9 now. This is just getting ugly, isn't it? And they're in against, also getting ugly, 17-23-7 Detroit. We're probably looking at Anaheim and going, hey, Jack Hughes is ours. Bugger off. 0-6-4 is the record in the last 10 for the Ducks, who've lost 11 in a row. 2-6-2 in their last 10 are the Red Wings, who won their last game. And over their last 10 games, they've gained 2 points on the Ducks. And the Ducks are still technically tied for a playoff spot in the West. 9-11-1 is the record of the Ducks on the road. 9-12-4 is the record of Detroit at home. Versus the East, Anaheim's 10-7-4 versus the West. Detroit's 7-7-1. I want to see Detroit win this game. Detroit's lost a lot of games that I thought they were pretty darn good in. I would love to see them win this. I'm at the point now, it's not an anti-Anaheim thing. It's a how bad can this get kind of thing. And it's kind of watching the Titanic very slowly sink. And you've got the captain, who'd be Bob Murray, going, all right, if we just all stand still, it won't sink. Just stand still and some nice music, it just won't sink. That's kind of how it feels. On the scoring leaders list for Anaheim, Getzlaf has 10 goals, 21 assists to lead the way. Henrique, 8 goals, 17 assists. Raquel, 6 goals, 16 assists. Montour, 5 goals, 17 assists. Kasha, 11 goals, 9 assists. Silverberg, 12 goals, 7 assists. Aberg, 11 goals, 8 assists. Ritchie, 6 goals, 12 assists. Lindholm, 4 goals, 13 assists. And Sprong, 6 goals, 7 assists. Just for fun, who would be an untouchable in my eyes as a GM of the Ducks? Raquel, I wouldn't move. I wouldn't move Kasha either. And Lindholm. And Montour. And that's it. Of the top 10 scorers, those are the ones that I wouldn't even listen to offers on. The other ones, sure. Let me know what you want. On the Detroit side, Larkin, 18 goals, 26 assists. Nyquist, 10 goals, 29 assists. Athanasiou, 17 goals, 10 assists. Bertuzzi, 13 goals, 12 assists. Nielsen, 7 goals, 18 assists. Vanek, 9 goals, 10 assists. Mantha, 10 goals, 7 assists. Green, 3 goals, 14 assists. Cholowski, 7 goals, 9 assists. And there's Glendening, 6 goals, 9 assists. Rounds out your top 10 for the Detroit Red Wings. Goaltenders, I expect Gibson, because Johnson's still the backup. He's 2-8, 3.36 goals against, 888 save percentage, and a shutout in between his games with Anaheim and St. Louis. On the Gibson side of things, he's 15, 14, and 8 with a 2.75 goals against, 919 save percentage, and a shutout. I keep saying it, but his numbers keep diving. And I know Gibson's still playing well, but his numbers are just nosediving. On the Detroit side, Howard is 12, 12, and 5, 2.77 goals against, 916 save percentage. And I kind of expect him here. That being said, every time I expect him, they put in Bernier. Bernier's 5-11 and 2, 3.54 goals against, 892 save percentage. And I'm not sure why he's been getting as many starts as he has. Because, to me, Howard's been the better goaltender. So, I don't know if there's something going on there. I don't know if Blashill thinks he can get him going, or if it's a matter of we're not going to make the playoffs anyways. We might as well see what we got with Bernier. But it's just been kind of odd to me is all. Next up, Washington. Coming off of a big loss tonight at home against St. Louis. Now they get to go to Nashville. Yay. 27-13-5 is the record of the Capitals over their season. Nashville, 27-16-4. Both of them are 5-3-2 in their last 10. Both of them have lost their last 2 games. So while this may be viewed as a potential Stanley Cup final matchup, right now it's a pity party matchup. On the road, Washington's 14-6-2. At home, Nashville's 15-7. Both of them 8 games above 500. Versus the West, this is where it gets tricky. The Capitals are 8-8-2 versus the East. Nashville's 14-4-3. So against the other conference, Nashville's much better than Washington. Leading scorers for Washington, Ovechkin now has 33 goals to go with his 18 assists for 51 points. Backstrom, 11 goals, 34 assists. Karlsson, 6 goals, 36 assists. Kuznetsov, 8 goals, 29 assists. Vrana, 15 goals, 10 assists. Connolly, 9 goals, 15 assists. Wilson, 13 goals, 9 assists. Oshie, 13 goals, 7 assists. Eller, 6 goals, 14 assists. and Niskanen 5 goals, 11 assists. I hear every now and then, what do you think they can get for Burakovsky? The longer he doesn't score, the more he's a healthy scratch, the lower that value goes. On the Nashville side of things, Johansson's still their leading scorer at 8 goals and 32 assists. Yossi, 7 goals, 27 assists. Ekholm, 6 goals, 28 assists. Fiala, 8 goals, 19 assists. Forsberg, 18 goals now for Philip Forsberg to go with his 8 assists. Smith, 14 goals, 11 assists. Arvidsson, 14 goals, 7 assists. Sissons, 10 goals, 11 assists. Ellis, 4 goals, 17 assists. And Bonino rounds out your top 10 with 9 goals and 11 assists for Nashville. Goaltenders, it's going to be Holtby because Copley started tonight. Copley's 10-3-3 now. 2.65 goals against, 9.14 save percentage, and a shutout. Holtby's 17-10-2. 2.85 goals against, 9.12 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. On the Nashville side, I expect Rinne. They want to get him going. Saros is 10-5-1, 2.62 goals against, 9.09 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Rinne's now 17-11-3, 2.43 goals against, 9.15 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. His goals against has gone up by nearly half a goal over the last, I think it's 6 weeks, and his save percentage has come down by, I think, 20 points. So definitely Rinne's been slumping. He has a chance against the defending Stanley Cup champions tomorrow to kind of turn things around. And this should be a very interesting game in that both teams are kind of underachieving. Nashville's last loss was shocking, but Washington's last defeat was shocking as well. Ovechkin, the big goal scorer, and then after that, there's kind of a drop-off. Vrana's the next big goal scorer for Washington. They probably want some more goals from some other guys. Although I will say Wilson, if he'd played the full season, probably would have about 20 goals. Whereas on the Nashville side, you've got Smith and Arvidsson are guys with 14 goals behind Forsberg's 18. And Forsberg, much like Wilson, if he played all year, he'd have many more goals. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game between these two. I'm leaning towards Nashville in it, to be honest. Just they're at home and Washington's on a back-to-back. Next up, Kings. Kings are 18-25-3, and their time is short. Their chances of making the postseason are pretty much nil. But they haven't given up. You get the feeling watching this team they haven't given up, and it's fun to see a team making that effort. In their 18-25-3 record includes the fact they're 5-5 in their last 10. They won their last game. They're in against Minnesota, a very human-looking Minnesota. They're 22-20-3, and now they're 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. Minnesota has to be very careful because LA right now is kind of dangerous. On the road, LA is 7-12-2. That is less dangerous. At home, Minnesota's 11-8-3 versus the West. LA's 12-14-1 versus the West. Minnesota's 15-11-2. And Minnesota has to be angry after that loss tonight against Philly. They just have to be. You are playing for your playoff lives. You're in a race that, honestly, if you were in the East, you're not in. So you should respect that, and you should come out and say, you know what, we have a chance to do something here. And there should be some real fight tomorrow from Minnesota. We'll see. Leading scorers for LA, Kopitar, 13 goals, 18 assists. Brown, 11 goals, 15 assists. Doughty, 4 goals, 21 assists. Iafallo, 10 goals, 12 assists. Carter, 9 goals, 13 assists. Kovalchuk, 7 goals, 13 assists. Muzzin, 4 goals, 16 assists. Toffoli, 7 goals, 9 assists. Kempe, 5 goals, 7 assists for him. And Brandon Leipsic makes the chart, 4 goals, 7 assists for Anaheim. Or LA, I should say. Not Anaheim. Anaheim's over here. Leipzig's been okay with LA. He takes the odd bad penalty and whatnot, but he seems to be fitting in better in LA than he did in Vancouver. On the Minnesota side of things, Parise leads them in scoring with 19 goals, 22 assists. Granlund, 12 goals, 27 assists. Stahl, 13 goals, 16 assists. Suter, 5 goals, 24 assists. Koivu, 6 goals, 21 assists. Spurgeon, 7 goals, 19 assists. Zucker, 13 goals, 11 assists. Dumba, 12 goals, 10 assists. Niederreiter, 8 goals, 14 assists. And Coyle rounds up the top 10 with 7 goals, 15 assists. On the goaltending side, I expect Quick. Quick's 8-11-2, 2.85 goals against, 9.04 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Campbell, 5-9, 2.21 goals against, 9.30 save percentage, and a single shutout. On the Minnesota side, it's supposed to be Stalock tomorrow. He's 5-4, 2.77 goals against, 8.96 save percentage. Dubnyk is 17, 16-3 now, which is a giant ouch. 2.71 goals against average, 910 save percentage. Those are down from where he was early in the year as well, with a single shutout. Minnesota is in trouble. The good news is, so's everybody else that they're fighting for a playoff spot with. It really doesn't seem like it matters. And I'm ready to start tracking what we called back in the 80s the Turtle Derby, where the Canucks and the Winnipeg Jets, neither of them seemed to want to get in the playoffs. I want to say in 1989. May have been it was 1990. That neither team seemed to want to get in the playoffs, so they just, both of them would lose every night. And that's why they called it the Turtle Derby, because one of them had to make the playoffs, and the old 16 teams and out of 21 made the playoff system. It was just awful. And it's for reasons like this that system is awful. When you're watching teams lose over and over and over, and you go, yeah, one of them's going to make the playoffs, it just sucks. You know they're not getting anywhere in the playoffs, but the fact you know one of them's going to make it, yeah, it can be painful. Anyways, I'd be interested to know what you guys think about the Turtle Derby out west, how much of it I should track and how often. And let me know what you guys think of tomorrow night's games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.